Welcome back. This is our lesson number 4, and today we're going to talk about the URL structure. Now, this is something that has changed slightly in the last decade, but it hasn't changed drastically. Now, before we discuss what you should use in terms of a domain name and your URL structure, let's discuss why this is important. You see, when Google and other search engines try to figure out what your website is all about, they look at your website as a whole. They're not just going to look at URL structure or your domain name or your categories or your page name. They're going to look at everything as a whole. Plus, in addition to that, they're going to look at how people interact with your content and if the content is legitimate. Now, part of that is what appears in the URL. A search engine friendly URL structure can actually go a long way. Not only will it help the search engines figure out what your page is all about, it's also going to help a human visitor understand what the page is about. And that means that keywords still matter, but you have to be careful not to keyword stuff your URLs. And by keyword stuff, what I mean is density. When you're putting too many of the same keywords in the same area. Don't do that. And I'm going to show you in just a minute why, if you use certain domain names, that can have a drastic impact. So, let's talk about domain names. You're probably thinking, what should you name your domain name? Should you use an exact match domain, meaning that you will have a main keyword in the domain? Or should you use a brand name? Well, there's a big debate that using a keyword in the domain name will actually get you ranked higher. That actually worked well back in the day, and sometimes it still works today. And there's really no right or wrong answer for this. Literally, at the end of the day, we don't know, it's all up to the search engine. There are so many exact match domains out there, and so many people using their main keywords in their domain names that it actually might help, or perhaps might not. But remember, with SEO, you need to make sure that you don't look at one element, but instead, you look at the website as a whole. So then, having your main keyword in a domain is not going to be as important. So yes, bestsurvivalkit.com can work, but we can't really say for sure. However, I might say, if you haven't noticed, Google really likes brands. Search engines love brands. And the reason why they love brands is because brands are here to stay. If you look at a brand that becomes a culture, and it's got an impressive following, then Google will love it, right? Search engines love brands. They normally have a URL like this, yourbrandname.com. Now, Google is quite smart, and it has robots that know that people are trying to keyword stuff or game the system in terms of domain names. However, till now we've had success with brand names, so we lean towards that as a long-term view. But then again, exact match keyword domain names work well for some other people as well. So we can't say for sure if it's not going to work for you. But now, let me reveal to you why using a brand name will actually help you, especially in preventing you from creating duplicate or keyword stuffing in the URL structure. So, for example, the URL structure normally looks like this: www.yourdomain.com/category/your page. And that your page thing could be anything, depending on how you go about naming that. And I'll show you this in a minute in WordPress. Now, we're just talking about the basic fundamentals. So, let's say for example that you're trying to rank on keyword red shoes. The problem with naming your domain name redshoes.com is this. Let's say for example that you have several categories: red shoes, blue shoes, yellow shoes, and brown shoes. But your domain has that one category, that's the red shoes, and you also have a product called Big Red Shoes. It ends up looking like this: www.redshoes.com/red-shoes/big-red-shoes. So you see what I mean here? You've got red shoes, and red shoes 3 times in a row in the same URL. That's not a good sign because that's keyword stuffing. To search engines, it looks like you're trying to game the system when in reality you might not be. But let's say, for example, that your brand name is Fast Feet. Then it will make more sense with the product name Big Red Shoes. Now, I know that's not a great name, but hold on. It will look something like this: www.fastfeet.com/big-red-shoes. So, Big Red Shoes belong to the product name, and Fast Feet is the brand name, or the e-commerce store, or the local store. So by doing that, now you see Red Shoes only shows up once. That's why have a brand name in your domain instead of main keyword. You have the potential of selling other things. If you just do redshoes.com, you're stuck with only Red Shoes, right? But with Fast Feet as a brand name, you could cover shoes, you could cover slippers, you could cover socks, you can cover a variety of different products. You could even cover lifestyle of running exercise shoes and all that. So branding not only help you with your URL structure, but it will also help you diversify and expand what your website could potentially be about. Do you see what I mean here, and why brands actually help you avoid keyword stuffing? Now, another tip is to make sure that your URL is no longer than 90 characters long. Okay, so first thing first, go ahead and log into your WordPress site. And then what you want to do is access the permalink option to make sure that your URL structure is searchable and search engine friendly. So what you need to do is go to the left-hand side, go to settings, then choose permalinks, and then we'll get to here. Now, at this point, you're going to want to choose post name. Click on post name, then click save down here. And that's it. So what this is going to do is every time you create a post or a page, it's going to title the actual post and page and put it in the URL. However, you see if you choose a numeric option here, then when Google comes to your page, they're not necessarily going to know what this URL is about. They're going to look for the body tags, but in this case, the URL structure is by no means search engine friendly. So as you can see here, the plain version is just P equals 23. As a human being as well, you don't really know what that URL means, so choose post name here and click save. Now, if you go on to a post or a page, or choose to create a post or a page, this is what it's going to look like. So when you create a post and page, like for example right here, this article here that says 10 different places to find credible freelancers online. If you have it here, you want to make sure that it is permalinked. Permalink is the URL structure. So we click on edit here, and now we can see that the URL says 10 different places to find credible freelancers online. So what you want to do is, obviously, we can't change the domain name, but we're going to put the title in here, and you want to put dashes in between the words, and when you're done, click on OK. Click update, and that's it. So that's as easy as it gets in terms of editing the URL structure. Now, of course, you can add them into categories. So if you have a category, let's say in this case we have freelancers. The category could be freelancing sites, and then you could have maybe 10 different posts on freelancing sites, so that as a human being, you know that we're looking at this and it's under the category of freelancing, and you can create categories by going under categories and click on add new category. End that there, and then make sure that post or page is checked for that category. Click update and you're good to go. And that's it.